How do you build a cycle path through an old tunnel? When the Bristol and Bath Railway path broke new ground in the 1980s, becoming the foundation stone of our national cycle network, campaigners led the construction work. Those pioneers established Sustrans before it joined the mainstream. Much has changed in 40 years and we do things differently now, less quickly, more costly, by committee. That can-do spirit does live on, however, if you know where to look. Let's try the Wye Valley on the Anglo-Welsh border. 10 years ago, a proposal to create a greenway here failed to gain planning consent. Now though, another scheme has emerged and once again, volunteers are breaking the back of it, restoring life to a tunnel of 1,188 yards, wherein adventures beckon.
It's challenging, it's terrifying, but you know you're alive, and it's wonderful. It's a family of lunatics, but a family nonetheless. So yeah, love it.
I cycled from Rochdale to here over 5 days. It's tiring, you know, but it's worth it. You can always go home smiling, and the people are brilliant.
There's just this end of the day feeling. The bats are out, and it's a feeling. Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. So that's the nature. And there's the effort, and everybody can cycle. So the doing of it is great fun, and it's for a good purpose.
Coffee! Occupying part of the former Wye Valley Railway, the route is centred around the National Diving and Activity Centre near Chepstow and will connect Wydene School to Forestry Commission tracks heading north to Tintern, 5 miles away. The Greenway repurposes a transport corridor used to carry stone as recently as the 1980s, but opened with an eye on tourism and traffic to the industrial Midlands, although its income was never great. Celia took the train daily to school in Monmouth, boarding at Netherhope Halt, next to the entrance to Tidenham Tunnel.
We lived just up there, and I never really wanted to get out of bed at 7:30 on a cold winter morning, and my mother would look out and see the smoke of the railway and sort of screech, and I would throw everything on and run down the lane, and the train guards and drivers knew everybody who went, and they knew we were regular, and if we were a bit late they'd just wait.
As tunnels go, Tidenham is characterful. Its single ventilation shaft, hewn roughly through the limestone, offered access for construction 140 odd years ago. A second shaft is thought to be hidden further south. Unlined sections give way to sporadic brickwork collars where the rock was deemed suspect, and elsewhere, arched sidewalls present more geological insight. As built, the tunnel was 68 yards shorter than it is currently, with a cutting separating it from another tunnel just beyond its south portal. The two structures were subsequently joined together by arching over the cutting and infilling above. The original arrangements were captured in a newspaper illustration from the line's opening in 1876, and you can still see the keystones of the intermediate portals embedded in the arch. The tunnel's Greenway conversion is deliberately low-key. The first task, undertaken last summer by two industrious Welshmen, was to lift the track which had survived more than 30 years since the line's official closure. Some of it's destined for reuse on the nearby Dean Forest Railway. A year on, with planning permission granted, contractors arrived to lay tarmac, funded by the Railway Heritage Trust. But the burden of high-volume chores was mostly borne by a band of volunteers who freely invested a week of their lives to install 132 lighting units, brick up 7 recesses to encourage bat use and prevent rockfall, and generally fettle any bits of lining in need of attention. It keeps the cost down and engenders a sense of community ownership, an approach the project leader, as one of the Bristol and Bath's developers all those years ago, knows to be of real value.
When you have a work camp, a lot of local people are coming along to contribute to the construction. So it becomes their project and they're going to look after it. And that is a fundamentally different way of doing things than getting a contractor in or council and walking away. So this is a local project built by local people. Now at the core of Greenways, of course, we have a dozen people who come every year. So who you can utterly rely on knowing what they're going to do. But without volunteers, there wouldn't be any fun in life, would there? The annual work camp is the highlight of Greenway's year.
The Wye Valley Greenway will add to the tourism offer hereabouts and inspire more folk to enjoy the spectacular landscape on foot and bike, something the government is increasingly keen for us to do in a post-Covid world. Whilst the tunnel offers no views, it does stand as a tribute to Victorian determination and pragmatic engineering skills, as well as introducing a little drama. All being well, it'll be available for public incursion from next spring, at which point it'll become the second longest tunnel on the country's cycle network.